Your toddler suddenly won't sit still anymore? You're sitting down for a meal, and your 1-year-old who used to contentedly stay in their high chair for 10 minutes now squirms, arches their back, and wants down immediately. You wonder, is this normal? Did I do something wrong? Should I be concerned? Here's the truth, what you're seeing isn't a problem. It's actually your toddler's brain developing exactly as it should. In this video, we're going to talk about why your little one suddenly can't stay seated, why this is genuinely a sign of healthy growth, and what you can actually do about it. Around 12 months, something shifts in your toddler's brain. Their body is suddenly capable of more movement than ever before. They're learning to walk, to climb, to explore. And at the same time, their impulse control is just beginning to develop, which means they can't yet stop themselves from wanting to do something the moment they think of it. Imagine having an incredible urge to run and jump, but no ability to pause and think, should I sit here instead? That's your toddler's reality right now. Their motor drive is strong. Their ability to inhibit that drive, to stay still when you ask them to, is still very much in development. They're not trying to be difficult. They're not being defiant on purpose. Their body and brain are in a mismatch. Everything in their system is telling them to move, explore, and investigate. Sitting still feels almost physically impossible to them. This is completely typical. This is developmental, not behavioral. Here's what I want you to understand. A toddler who can't sit still is showing you that their brain is growing. The restlessness you're experiencing isn't a setback. It's a milestone. When your 1-year-old suddenly has the motor skills to climb onto the couch, the impulse to explore every corner of the room, and the physical ability to act on those impulses, that's brain development in action. This is the beginning of their independence and their understanding of the world. Yes, it's exhausting. Yes, it makes mealtimes chaotic and shopping trips harder. But the restlessness itself tells you that your child's nervous system is becoming more complex, more capable, more coordinated. Their brain is making new connections between their desire to move and their ability to move. They're literally building the pathways that will, over time, allow them to develop impulse control. Right now they can't sit still because they're supposed to be moving, exploring, learning through movement. This is healthy. This is progress. Your job isn't to force them to be still. It's to celebrate that they're developing normally and to work with their developmental needs instead of against them. Let me walk you through what's actually happening inside your toddler's brain during this stage. Between 12 and 24 months, the part of the brain responsible for balance and coordination, called the cerebellum, is rapidly developing. This is why your 1-year-old is suddenly capable of complex movements they couldn't do 6 months ago. At the same time, the prefrontal cortex, which handles impulse control and decision-making, is still very much in its infancy. It won't be fully developed until your child is well into their 20s. But right now, at 18 months or 2 years old, it's just beginning to take shape. Think of it like this: your toddler's go button is fully operational. Their pause or stop button is still being installed. This mismatch is temporary. It's normal. It's expected. The restlessness you're seeing is the symptom of healthy brain maturation. As your child's prefrontal cortex develops over the coming years, they'll gradually be able to sit still for longer periods. They'll be able to wait their turn. They'll be able to think before they act. But right now, they're in the movement phase. Understanding this neurological reality helps you release the guilt about your toddler not being able to stay seated. Now let's talk about what doesn't work: forcing your toddler to sit still. When you force a child to remain seated against their impulse to move, you're fighting their developmental needs. You're essentially asking them to override what their brain and body are telling them to do. And here's what happens: they become more resistant. They cry. They struggle. The battle escalates. Mealtimes become stressful. Car rides become battles. Everyone ends up frustrated. Instead, here's what does work: give them movement breaks. Let them stand while they eat, if that's possible. During a car ride, plan a stop where they can run around and get the wiggles out. At the store, let them walk alongside you instead of sitting in the cart. Give their body what it needs, and you'll find they're actually more cooperative. Build an active play before expecting them to sit for any length of time. A toddler who's had 20 minutes of climbing, running, and exploring is more likely to focus for a meal than one who's been contained all morning. Work with their developmental stage instead of against it. This isn't permissive parenting. It's smart parenting that acknowledges how your toddler's brain actually works. Let me give you some realistic expectations based on actual child development. At 12 months, your baby might sit in a high chair for 5 to 10 minutes before becoming restless. That's completely normal. By 18 months, some toddlers can sit for 15 to 20 minutes, especially if the activity is engaging. By 2 years old, you might see 20 to 30 minutes of sitting time, though it's still interrupted by movement breaks. The key word here is might. Every child is different. Some toddlers are naturally more active than others, and that's fine. When should you actually be concerned? If your toddler isn't moving at all, seems stiff or rigid, or shows a complete lack of interest in exploring, those are things to mention to your pediatrician. If your child is extremely hyperactive to the point where they're hurting themselves, running into things repeatedly, or showing signs of distress, that's also worth checking in about. But the everyday restlessness, the constant need to be on the move, the inability to sit through a meal, that's normal toddler development. You're not doing anything wrong. Your child isn't broken. This is what being a toddler actually looks like. Here's the practical part: activities that let your toddler move and learn at the same time. Dance time is magic. Put on music and let your little one move however they want. You're giving them the movement they crave while also exposing them to rhythm and music. Indoor obstacle courses are fantastic. Use pillows, cushions, blankets, and furniture to create a safe path to climb over, under, and around. This gives their body the challenge it's looking for. Sensory bins filled with rice, pasta, or dried beans provide tactile input while they're standing and moving. Playground time where they can climb, slide, and run is essential. Walking trips around your neighborhood, where your toddler can explore at their own pace, combine movement with discovery. Even helping with simple household tasks, wiping surfaces, putting items in a basket, moving toys from one room to another, gives them purposeful movement and makes them feel included. The point is this: stop thinking of activities as sitting down to learn. Your toddler learns best when they're moving. Movement and learning go together at this age. When you structure activities around that reality, everything becomes easier. I want to address something important. Sometimes what looks like typical toddler restlessness is actually a sign that your child needs more sensory input. This doesn't mean anything is wrong. It doesn't mean a diagnosis. It simply means your child's sensory system might work a little differently. Some toddlers need more movement, more input, more stimulation to feel regulated. These are kids who are always on the go, always seeking movement, always wanting to crash into things or jump. If this sounds like your child, that's information worth having. Providing more movement opportunities, more sensory play, and more active time can be genuinely helpful. Heavy work activities, pushing, pulling, carrying, can be especially calming for these kids. Wall pushes, helping carry groceries, and pushing a toy cart are all forms of heavy work that help their sensory system feel satisfied. If you're noticing that your toddler seems uncomfortable in their own skin, is constantly seeking movement to the point of safety concerns, or seems distressed by stillness, it's worth mentioning to your pediatrician. They can help you understand your specific child's needs. But again, the everyday constant motion of a typical toddler? That's development. You don't need a diagnosis to validate what you're experiencing. Your toddler's refusal to sit still isn't a problem to solve. It's a sign that their brain and body are developing beautifully. You're doing a good job. Trust your instincts, work with their developmental needs, and remember, the wiggles are only temporary. This phase will pass. If you want more videos like this, subscribe and follow World of Baby. See you in the next one.